Thank you. Namaste, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests and esteemed panelists. It's with great pleasure that I welcome you all to this insightful discussion centered around the crucial topic, shattering glass ceilings, fostering women leadership and entrepreneurial spirit. If I may say so, down the ages, women have faced complex challenges, and these complexities keep changing in form and tenor. Now, as you can see, we are at a stage where probably what problems are, parents have not faced, we are facing, which is leading to a lot of mental stress. That said, women have, successfully stormed all male bastions, and they have established firmly. And yet, even today, we have fewer politicians, we have fewer women in leadership, and we have fewer women entrepreneurs and leaders. And if you take that on one side, on the other side is the tremendous amount of pressure we are putting on women to perform. When they become leaders, when they become people with responsibility, they are putting in for tremendous amount of pressure, which is leading to a lot of burnouts as well. We know the case of Jacinda Ardern as well, why she decided to step down. So this year's, the International Women's Day slogan is embrace equity. Now, the equity is quite different to equality, as we all know. So we all need to step forward to create an enabling environment for women. You cannot take away the responsibilities of women from what she is, because she is the nurturer. She is the person who takes care of your family. You have to acknowledge that in the same spirit as the other abilities that she has, that empowers her, and that is leading to the prosperity of our communities and societies at large. So what do we do and how do we do this? We all have to put our best foot forward. That said, post-COVID, there is an alarming trend of women stepping out of their professional, they are just giving up because it's too much for them to handle everything, families on one side and professional responsibilities on the other. So I think embracing equity is the right way forward, where we all participate as women as well. We should not give up because we have come this far. And we also have to set an example for the future generations as well of women. They should not give up as well. Then all of this is wasted. So we have to carry forward the torch. We have to work towards creating a solution, and all of us have to embrace equity in every way. So that's it. We have to embark on this wonderful dialogue and look at every opportunity to share examples. We as women must champion each other as well. As you know, we are, decades of gender stereotyping. We still see certain roles even today as being led by a certain gender. We must, shatter that in our mind before we go about, setting newer examples and new signposts for the next generation to come. So it's my, great honor that we have an illustrious panel today, women who have set great examples and great inspiration with their contributions. So I'd like to take a moment to introduce our panelists. So there is no particular order, but I'm just starting with Shilpa. Oh yes, the introductions are done. I'm sorry. So we start with one question, which I will, carry forward to each and every speaker, and hope to hear from your example, your personal journeys of how you've been able to, overcome all the challenges that have been posed to you by the system that we have in existence today. So the question is, can you share your personal experiences and examples on how you as leaders and entrepreneurs have shattered glass ceilings and achieved remarkable success? What do you think were the key factors that contributed to your accomplishments?
A very good afternoon to you all. As per my introduction, I'm Ajita, and I head HAMSTEC, which is a college for creative education. So, well, I started my journey when I was 21 years. I just finished engineering and completed electronics and telecommunication engineering and went to look out for jobs and found that, those jobs didn't excite me at all. And that's the reason I said, no, I need to do something beyond a job. So I want to be an entrepreneur. And I also felt that, there were very restricted options for women. At that point of time, a lot of people just thought of engineering and medicine as the key, way forward for careers. And I said, no, we need more options for women. And that's when I came up with with the idea and vision for a creative education school. So that's how Hamstech was created. And we started with a few courses, which was fashion design, interior design, graphic design. And then subsequently, of course, added many more to the plethora of courses that we have, which is photography, we have baking, we have culinary course, we have artistry, makeup, so so on and so forth, all the courses which lead to a career at the end of the course, so we can be sure that there'll be either a job or they'll, the person who has done the course could become an entrepreneur. So I did face a lot of obstacles in my journey too, honestly. One, that I was a 21-year-old who had a vision to do something, and I needed, fund to be able to start that. So my first obstacle came when I went to the bankers, so obviously the bankers felt that they couldn't trust a 21-year-old, more so because she was a woman, more so because banks give loans only to known businesses, and so this was a creative course which was an unknown business. And so, banks were not ready. I think it took me years of, months of going to them day on day and convincing them, creating, write-ups about creative education, showing them the growth pattern there, showing how women could become entrepreneurs. And, that was how I actually finally got the loan and started this business. So that was my first obstacle. The second obstacle was, yes, you got the loan, you've set up your center, but we need resources. And every resource that I went to, if they were a skilled resource that I really required, the payment that they asked for was difficult for a startup person like me, So that was very difficult. So I had to come up with unique ways and ideas of how I would remunerate them, other than just being a pay packet. So that was my second challenge. So we then came up with ideas of saying, let's take the best and ensure that they kind of train the others who we could well afford. The third challenge was to keep that resources, continuing with us, because every time there was poaching, and I remember my senior people would say, ma'am, what is the point? We just train people and then they move out. And then I had to tell her that, okay, imagine a scenario where we don't train her and then she stays, the person stays back with us. So this is not adding value anywhere to us, So it's better that we train them and then find ways and means of how we could retain them. So retention was also one of our key, success points that was a challenge. I think my success I would give to probably just sheer vision, passion, commitment, and persistence. And just going there and showing up every single day, no matter what problem was, I think so that's what, I would say are my key observations.
If I may ask, it's a great story to tell. So, what is it that one thing that really was a big crucial challenge that you overcame? One incident, one short, briefly, can you describe?
So while I was telling you about the bank, at 21, I was already married, as soon as I finished engineering. And when I asked for a loan and I had a collateral, and was in my name, yet the bankers wanted my husband to sign. And I was like, no, I want to do this by myself. And I want to be, I want to say that I did it all by myself, without any support. So I refused. I refused to get him to sign. I said, you have no collateral, you have a business proposition, you have everything. So why would an income, But eventually I think, I somewhere you kind of succumb and I did. Eventually I had to ask my husband to sign. And, those were the times. But unfortunately, I don't see a lot change, My daughter is presently looking at venture capital and she's actually running an online edtech platform. And even back then, I'm talking of 32 years ago and even now, my daughter was asked to, she's again a person who's done.
I think I was a little more of a disappointment for my father. But going forward, but anyways, with the boys, it was a natural succession. Fortunately, being a patriarchal thing, there was nothing much I was learning. I was kind of felt that everything was told to me. It was too, would say, productive. So I was told everything to be done, and I wasn't learning much. So I kind of I wanted to grow, and I had my two girls, two daughters, and I kind of wanted to grow in my own career path. And that's when, as I took more strides to grow, I wanted to pursue in something that so my identities were recognized. And unfortunately, my identities were recognized was somebody's granddaughter or somebody's daughter and someone's wife, which I was not very happy with. So I kind of changed my gears and I stepped out of my family business and I said, let me do something that interests me and kind of where I have a lot of learning. But setting up your own business and all that has its own hurdles and roadblocks, because the F&B industry that I have got into was very, very new, and I didn't have a clue about how to run the show. I had no business contacts, or I had nobody to reach out to. So it was very new. It was overwhelming at times where I had to do everything by myself, where design, concept, vendors, suppliers, everything, consultants. But that is something that I have gotten myself into. That's something that I wanted to do and how I wanted to do. So I think looking back, I feel that when you do your mistakes and all that, you would actually kind of learn from your mistakes. That's a beautiful thing. I mean, you should be doing your mistakes so you kind of learn from it. So looking back, I would say that I have dared to follow my dreams and that whatever little I have achieved, I've achieved all by myself. So what I would say to everyone is carve your own niche and embrace your randomness from it. Thank you.
Father, and this is the kind of pressure that women face at every stage. You very, very nicely, very visually, we could always already feel the kind of challenges you had to go through. So what was the one moment where you felt the tipping point change in your favor? I mean, things changing in your favor, do you think?
So I think when I was not learning anything from the family business that I have gotten into, I know it was a disappointment. I was constantly looking at approval for somebody. So that kind of said that you cannot make everyone happy around you. What you have to do is make yourself happy. And that kind of set my goal, saying I need to kind of venture out into the things that interest me naturally, rather than kind of looking for somebody's approval and doing something for them. You rather do it for yourself, and this is something that brick and mortar industry hasn't interested me. I mean, I've gone into the business. Yes, I wanted to learn and explore something, but I have come back and kind of said, this is not my interest and this is not my cup of tea, and wanted to explore something else. So I think that's where it all started. And I have two daughters, and that's what I wanted to kind of teach them, to follow your dreams and do whatever your interest lies in, rather than seeing what others are expecting from you.
What kind of challenges that you have faced, what inspired you to keep on at your very unconservative kind of career approach as well as an
First of
entrepreneur?
all, I'm really very thankful to be here. Thank you, Ananda, and thank you, Stree Summit, for inviting us to be a part of the conclave. So my story started in a small town called Dhanbad. I belong to an industrial family. And from the time I was born, I remember going to the factories and offices with my grandfather, my father, and my uncles. And while my sister, my cousin, and my sisters all would play with dolls and, like, all the girly things in the house, I would be out with the men going to the factories. and they would gladly take me along till I was 7 or 8. Fast forward another 3 4 years, and they no longer would want me to go to the factory, and I couldn't understand where the sudden change came from. I think it was me maturing and becoming a woman when they realized they could no longer take me to the factory, because it was all, Dhanbad was a small town, and I think there were many workers there, and they felt the girls would not be safe in that environment. So suddenly the tables turned, and that made me so determined to become something someday and prove everybody wrong. And also my grandfather, unlike my father came from a old school of thought. My grandfather, on the other hand, always instilled in me that girls should stand on their own feet, and it's only not only important to be married, but you should always do something on your own. Got married at the age of 20. I hadn't even given my BCom exams. I remember after I came back from the honeymoon, I also joined fashion school, because that fashion has always been my passion. So my in-laws gave me a choice to either go and finish my fashion school in the last 3 months or go give my BCom exams. Because of my background, I thought no, getting a degree, a college degree was more important, and I went and gave my BCom exams after I got married. When I came to Hyderabad, I wanted to do something. I was not happy sitting at home. So I asked my in-laws, what can I do? They said, okay, do something small. If you work, people will think we are not capable of providing for you. That was the exact words what my father-in-law told me. So I said, okay, I'll do something which women can do. I'll put forward an exhibition. And in 1992 was the first time I did like a trunk show in Country Club, because that was belonged to a friend, and they felt it was a safe haven and I could do it there. So I collected some designer clothes from Calcutta and had my first exhibition. And I kept on doing these small things over and over again. 1998, 99, I remember my father-in-law telling me कि अभी बहुत ज़्यादा exhibitions हो रहे हैं, so you're out of the house, because we needed to take care of the house and kids at that time, even though we had servants, but we were supposed to take care of all the household duties. So he told me, okay, you go and handle one of the steel plants. So I went and sat in the factory for a year. I think it was not my passion. I would go there, play games on the computer, and come back mostly because I couldn't understand the work. And it was not my passion. I didn't even try to understand it. That led me to think I need to do something better. And I remember going to the expo which happens in the exhibition grounds. And I felt that instead of me doing smaller trunk shows every other month, why don't I place an expo together and put everybody on the same platform? And that's how in 2001, 2002, this idea of an expo came up. Again, I went back to my family and I said I needed capital to do it. My husband told me you'll never get funding from a bank and all, so find a way where you can do it yourself and not ask any of the family members for money, otherwise it won't be allowed in our family. So again, I just put my brains together and I put an expo together where I sold the stalls well in advance. All the expenses were taken care of. So it was a self-sufficient model where I didn't need to put in any investment, just my expertise and my foresight to look at the right kind of crowd. So that continued, and Fashion Yatra, the brand which I own now, was the first ever exhibition to happen in all of India. Initially, it only started with women entrepreneurs, most of them my friends from back home, Calcutta, who were designing, who were good in designing. So I gave them a platform. I remember calling up my best friend from childhood. I said, Shalu, you're very good in designing. Why don't you put together a collection and let me help you sell it? Same way, I gathered a group of around 15, 20 of my friends. They are all very big names today. Some of them, like Mahi and all, are very big names. So I put together this expo, and rest is all history. Over the period of years, I traveled to US with an exhibition. I've done an exhibition in Dubai. India, I've had exhibitions in Delhi, Mumbai, Bangalore, Chennai, Hyderabad, Jaipur. everywhere, and I did it single-handedly with a group of 5 women who were working for me. The obstacles were constant friction when I came back. My mother-in-law was very uncomfortable with me traveling everywhere because I was constantly on the move. My son's education, I have only one son. His education, though he was very supportive, but of course, he definitely needed me at that time. The main thing was the family pressure and the society comments on me. I used to hear nasty comments on me, how I'd risen up the ladder. That was the biggest setback I ever faced. I think at that time they couldn't see a woman rising or doing so much work in India and overseas. Also, we tied up with a bank, we tied up with Kingfisher Airlines for cargo. So we did a lot of things which were the first. But due to a family tragedy in 2011, I had to stop all the work and just restrict my exhibitions to Hyderabad. Also, the other thing, the proceeds of all these exhibitions go towards girl child education, because I just felt all the hurdles I ever faced. The basic reason is because girls are not able to stand up for themselves, and we really needed to educate them to be able to come up in society. So once you are educated, you have shattered the first glass ceiling which comes to in your way. So that's been my journey. All along, the only person who has single-handedly supported me has been my husband. So even though there have been obstacles, I'm really thankful to him and my son, who always cheered for me and led me on.
Very,
That's
very
been my
inspiring journey, as you know, all of us, are very moved and touched by all the kind of challenge that you face.
Yeah.
And a lot of such challenges we all face. The form and the tenor may be a little different, but we continue to face these challenges even today, in one form or the other. Somehow nobody seems to understand that you can't put this much pressure on a single individual. Taking care of the house, you have to be good at everything. The kind of pressure that you have to live up to, that you have to be really, really good just because you want to match up with the men, seems pretty unfair. Don't you agree, guys?
So I joined back the company, and I'm the creative head for all the branding and advertisements now.
3 cheers.
So life comes in full circles, and I've come back and thanking him, for all the years of the support he's given me.
So if I may ask, where did you find that, the emotional courage to do all these things, the number of problems that you face, the kind of obstacles that you came across, so many are so difficult to even, imagine. Where did you find that strength in yourself?
I think the reason is I'm a woman. Women can multitask. We can do many things together. And I think we just have that sense of determination and courage in us. Once we make up our mind, I think we can do it. It's only our, sense of multitasking. It's inborn in us.
Great, wonderful, great story. So now we come to Chetna, and another inspirational story, guys. I mean, she's done a wonderful job. She's been an architect when nobody dared to be an architect in those days. And she's really stormed that bastion, and she's established herself as a very credible name. So please take us through your journey, your experiences, your life-changing experiences.
Yeah, first of all, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you, Ananda, for this session, and HCRIC for having me here. Since morning, we've been listening to a lot of inspiring stories, and then, it was like a nostalgic journey for me as to when I started. The first thing, everybody asked me, why did you choose to be an entrepreneur? Everybody asked me this. The simplest answer I can give is, as a child, I always thought, I never wanted to take orders from anybody. That is a simple mantra in my life. I cannot take orders from anybody, so I want to do something on my own. And my parents were my greatest inspiration. My father would always, one of them was mentioning, when all the girls were busy playing the girly games and doing all those stuff, I was taught a lot of things. I would have a very healthy discussion with my father. But once, I just asked my dad, I said, Dad, all these girls are doing these things and I am sitting with you and we are talking on all this. He said, sometimes to be different, sometimes to be out of the box, you need to have these conversations. And he passed away quite early, leaving me alone. And that's when I realized that all those nurture years, somebody said 0 to 7 are the most formative years. For me, I think I was the luckiest child for those 0 to 7 years when he taught me a lot of things through small, small examples. I do come from a business family, but nobody is an engineer turned entrepreneur in my family. I think I'm the only one. When I started, I actually wanted to be a lawyer, a very funny twist towards life. But when I asked my parents that I'll be a lawyer, they said, which kind of lawyer? Please explain. I said, I want to be a criminal lawyer. I was immediately shot down. They said, no, being a woman and a criminal lawyer, not accepted. You can look for something else. Then, I was like talking to my mother. She said, do one thing, give it a shot, write your MSET, let's see where it goes. I was very reluctant. I said, no. She also said, see, you should get into a government job that will give you like security for your life. In my mind, I thought, no, I am not doing any government job at all. So I just gave my shot towards MSET, and luckily I got qualified. I joined architecture. Once I joined architecture, first year, I was really kind of retrospecting whether I'm really cut out to do this course. I had my own doubts. Then when I came back and spoke about this to my mother, she said, look, 1 year, let it go. Let's see, at the end of this 1 year, if you're not interested, we will shift, we'll look for you. But I think I was lucky that I had a set of parents who wanted to listen to me, who did not judge me saying you're wrong, you're right, or whatever. They said, fine, let's do it. So after 1 year, I realized, yes, I think I was really cut out for this course. Eventually, I completed the course. And then again, this was always constantly ringing in my mind. I cannot take orders from anybody. So come what may, I have to start my own. So with this in mind, what I started doing is, right from my 4th year, I started interning so that I get a hang of what exactly the market is all about, how things work, because what you learn in college and what you do practically is totally different in this particular kind of subject. So then when I started working and once I completed everything, then I said, now I have to start on my own. The biggest question, from where does the money come to put up a small office and start everything? And then I told my mother, will you do me a favor? She said, what? I said, can you give me half of our living hall? She said, why? I said, I want to set up my office. So she said, are you sure? I said, yes, I'm sure. Then she said, clients will not find it quite easy to walk. How will you advertise? How will people know you? Right? So I said, we'll see, ma. Let's see what we do. And the first client that I got was apparently my mother's friend. She said, Beta, I will allow you to design my house, but it will be vetted by a senior architect and I will only give you 500 rupees. Whereas I knew that she will at least pay 1 lakh rupees to a senior architect way back in 98. But she said, I'll give you only 500 rupees. I was game for it. I said, no problem. 500 is acceptable to me because I was very excited to get my first income of 500 rupees as an entrepreneur on my own strength. So good it was that, she got it vetted and eventually she was quite happy. And I think the journey began. And then I started getting into doing small projects. And while doing one of the projects, my husband was the structural engineer. And then while we were having a conversation, we understood that yes, an architect needs a structural engineer and a structural engineer needs an architect. So first we got into a partnership. But whatever happened, every time I went back to a site, people would look at me, they would give me weird looks. And to an extent that one day, I overheard the shuttering guys, they were saying, क्यों आ जाते हैं ये लोग हमें ऑर्डर देने के लिए कुछ पता तो होता नहीं है इन लोगों को. So I overheard it, but I did not react because I thought reacting or reprimanding them was not the solution here. The solution was I'll have to raise my bar or my capability so much in terms of the subject knowledge where I can converse with them in their colloquial tongue that they will not start rejecting me, but they'll start accepting me. So that was the first challenge for me. And then slowly I started acclimatizing myself as to how I would go and get work, talk to these people, get work executed. There were days when I used to stay at site late in the night. But again, yes, family being family, they would be like, how can you be staying out? There were also times when we had to travel outstation And I'll tell you, this was the biggest challenge for most women even today, to find a clean washroom. So if I have to travel the next day, I wouldn't drink water one night before, because I know there will not be any clean washroom around. And even to go and ask, suppose 10 o'clock in the morning I have a meeting and I travel by road, I'm bang on 10 o'clock I reach. But it would be such a difficult situation to ask somebody that I need to use the restroom or where is the restroom, because if you ask, people will give you a very strange glare. So how can it will be like, how can you ask us? But I'm very happy that things have changed now. And it is quite a challenge for a woman, especially in this field, to be on sites, to keep talking to people. You get a lot of, adversities. People keep arguing with you. They don't want to take your idea. But still, I think perseverance for me was the biggest trait. Every time I got rejected, I said, no, I will bounce back with double my energy. I'm going to see how you're going to reject me the next time. So I always played this in my mind that today you're rejecting me, tomorrow you're going to accept me more. So these were quite a few challenges that I had to face. And even today, somebody mentioned, now that we both, my husband and me are the partners, when I go, eventually, somebody, if I am there, they of course acknowledge my presence, but the next question is, oh, your husband is not here? So somewhere, yes, he is my partner in progress, he is my partner in equity, everything. But still I feel somewhere my presence also should get acknowledged. It does. But still I think, we are still stereotyped. If you have a male partner, the male partner is asked first, but the female partner is a bit relegated. Thankfully, things are changing now, and I think we get equal footage on that. And of all these years of my experience, what I feel is, no profession actually is gender biased. A profession is a profession, except for that, we try and think, oh, a woman in this profession, how is it possible? No, it is possible. And for us women, I think standing strong, believing in yourself, all these years, if there is anything that I keep revisiting myself is, I believe in myself. And next thing I think is, okay, when I approach somebody, what can happen the worst? They will only say no, right? They'll not take my life. That's the worst thing that can happen. So we can be ready for rejection as well as acceptance. And if you're able to accept both of these with grace, I think challenges can be met head on.
Great story. Please clap for this. So you have heard the stories of 4 extraordinary women and 4 extraordinary journeys. All of us have gone through the similar kind of experiences. What I would like all of us to do is do this. This is embrace equity. So all of us, let's strive to create a nurturing environment for women, women for women and men for men, and men for women and women for men as well. So it's all together. So we have to do in this together. So I'd like to thank you so much to Geeta and Anandita for a wonderful, this wonderful summit. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much to our moderator and panelists. Can we request you to please stay back? And Geeta ma'am, two questions. Yeah, can we take about 2 questions? Would that be okay? So if there are any questions, please raise your hand. Yes, can we please pass on the mic? There's a lady here, and then there's, maybe I see a raise of hands there as well. Yes.
Good afternoon, everyone. Myself, V. Saujanya. I'm from Sindhu College. I want to ask one question. Each of the stories is very inspiring. If a woman wants to enter a challenging field, the first question we will hear, you're a girl and it's not safe for you. The world outside is not safe for you. Why we have to always hear that? Even if we make ourselves brave enough that we want to try, and if we agree our parents, the other people will come. Oh my God, look, she's a woman and she's doing that. Wow. Why we want to do that? That differentiation is why. We got a chance. Not the success will come in the first time. someone will fail the failure, but being a woman, if I am asking my parents to please help me in this and they are giving support and I go and try it, if I fail in the first attempt, done. You given your try and done. Now come back and do what we said to you. Why we have to do like that? Can I help you?
Who will answer this question?
Okay, thank you for the question. Very validly thought about and expressed. See, failures are bound to happen. I took 25 years to be sitting here in front of you. It's been a long journey and very adventurous journey too. Every time you fail, remember one thing. You can convince people. You don't have, especially you have to convince only your parents. You don't have to convince all the people around you. People around you will talk. Good people will talk. Bad people will talk more. So as I said, if you believe in yourself and if you have it in you, then I think nothing is impossible. Like you say, eat cricket, sleep cricket, drink cricket. Live your passion. Do what you want. And then see who stops you.
Thank you.
Let it not become an excuse that, yes, something will stop me. What will people say? This is the biggest failure for most women I have seen. Log kya bolenge? What will people say? But let me tell you, people will not come in your lower times, when you're down and fallen. They only know to talk, but you know where to walk. So you can walk your journey, you can walk your dream.
Thank
Do
you.
it.
Yes, people will say, even if we success also, they will also come and say that she's a woman. If she's in some good position, they will also say, they will judge in that place also. She's a woman, that's right. It will be in good way and it will be in bad way, but it's in our, how we are taking it.
See, if you have the courage to go out and work, you should not bother about what people say. So you can either work or bother about what people say. If you read the inspirational stories of Kiran Majumdar Shaw, she started her biopharmaceutical company from a garage. She didn't get funding because of her youth and gender. She fought on and today she's the biggest company. Had she thought at that time that what are people saying and they're talking, I'm so beautiful, I'm so young, and that's why I can't lead the company, she wouldn't have been where she is. Same with Indra Nui. You read about all the inspirational women. They have gone through the same challenges. So if you want to do it, you have to stop thinking about what others say. Focus on your work.
Also, you're so fortunate to be in Hyderabad. It's one of the safest cities in the country. So I think it's thanks to all the big cops sitting here that we are in a safe zone. So you don't have to worry about security at least. That's least of your concern. Second, all of us sitting here have failed in some way or the other. We have never let our failures deter us. You have to be determined to move forward no matter what failures you see. And remember that when you fail, it's only the idea that has failed, not you. You can still work hard and ensure that you see success and see yourself where you want to. Just grit, determination, and persistence. That's all you require. And all the very best. I'm sure you'll do something.
Hi, just one question to the panelists. While we talk about the challenges of the gender, I also know as a woman entrepreneur, there are a lot many privileges that I get as an entrepreneur, and I want you to share any such privileges which you have had in your journey, which will inspire many young minds sitting there.
Should I take that? Yeah, so I'm also a representative of FICCI Ladies Organization, which is an organization which works towards empowering women and build entrepreneurs. So for the first time, we got into a sector which was the manufacturing sector. We went to the government and we said, look, you don't have too many women in the manufacturing sector. And here we promise to get you women in the manufacturing sector. And we want to do the first park, which is a 100% women-owned park in the country. So we actually launched, in collaboration with government of Telangana and TSISC, we launched the first fully 100% women-owned park. And the government of Telangana came forward and gave us a 50% subsidy for the price, of the land. Apart from that, they set up a counter which was a single window for all clearances. And in fact, I remember Mr. KTR Garu, he actually addressed us and he said, if you've applied for a permission and on the 11th day you don't hear from us, deem it as granted. So that's the kind of a state that we are in. That's the kind of, benefits that we get. We've asked them so many things. They laid out the roads for us free of cost. They've laid out everything was given, to us on a platter. So I think a lot of other organizations have also got benefited. I think COVI has been one of them. I think ALEAP has been one of them. So I think it just you need to know that you approach the government with a valid, a proposal, and the proposal will most often be, okayed by the government.
Yeah, and
Thank
Josna being my predecessor as the president of Confederation of Women Entrepreneurs, and myself being the current president, yes, as a woman, there are a lot many privileges we are getting from the current government in the form of schemes, a lot of proactive schemes that are coming up. We, for one, as Ajita said, we also had got a automotive park. We were about 33 of our entrepreneurs could set up their industries. We are also, like, from a woman's perspective in Kobe, Telangana, we are reaching out to more women. We are encouraging them to take up entrepreneurship. We are trying to encourage women to scale their businesses. We are trying to reach out to rural women to set up their own units. So I think for me, coming from the perspective of a president, I have the privilege of course, being a woman, and this is something like a give back for me. Apart from, I think I feel very privileged to be in this leadership role, because if you give a fish to a person, they live only a day. But if you teach them how to fish, I think that takes them a long, long way to go. And educating and encouraging a woman not only builds the nation, but it also builds healthy families, healthy youth, who are the maximum percentage of our country's demographics today. So I think as women, we are really privileged to be a part of this progress. And with all these encouragement and summits like this, when we hear our core women, scaling greater heights, breaking all the barriers that are around them, I think we get more inspired each day. So thank you so much.